According to scientists, shock waves of gigantic force, formed as a result of the explosion of the supernova star Eta, in the constellation Cygnus, are moving towards our solar system at an enormous speed. They will reach us in 7,500 years. For the solar system, this cosmic event will end in disaster. The planets will lose their orbits and life on Earth will cease. Already now, it is necessary for the Earthlings to think about moving to other worlds. It is necessary to create a new generation of spacecraft, such that will be able to develop speeds greater than those achieved now. Such a ship may be a Ponderoland invented by the outstanding Russian scientist Gennady, the winner of the Lenin and State Prizes. Ignatiev worked for the defense and was classified, so his name is unknown to the general public. He was a member of the Council of Chief Designers of the Rocket and Space Forces. He created and for a long time led the Central Design Bureau Geophysics. He based his developments on the works of the Serbian scientist Nikola Tesla, the genius of the Slavic people. In 2015, it was 15 years since the scientist's death. There was not a single mention of him in the media. Why was he forgotten? And as they say, he was far away from the ringing of metals and the rustling of silk ribbons. Ignatiev was appointed the first head and chief designer. Here, he demonstrated outstanding organizational skills and created a team of developers who were able to solve state-level tasks related to strengthening our country's defense capabilities. The Bureau was responsible for the development and implementation of communication equipment and missile launch systems. It is impossible to cover all aspects of his work. Due to the lack of information, as most of his inventions are classified and are a state and military secret, Ignatiev communicated directly with members of the government and ministers. Without his signature on the readiness reports, not a single rocket in the USSR could be launched. There were many difficulties in his work. He shared a humorous story. One day, a rocket launch was conducted in the steppe. After a successful launch, the rocket followed its intended trajectory. The members of the commission emerged from their hiding places and gazed up at the mesmerizing sight. But what was it? The rocket abruptly changed its trajectory and flew in the opposite direction to the observation post. Near it on the ground was a piece of tarpaulin, and we all rushed under this tarpaulin as one. The rocket did not reach the observation post about 100 meters and fell to the ground. Fortunately, it did not explode, but still we breathed in the poisonous fuel, which later affected the state of health. We got out of the tarpaulin and laughed for a long time at this act. Ignatiev took part in the development of equipment for communication with submarines. Submarines with combat missiles lay on the ground and were invulnerable to the enemy, but at the same time it was impossible to establish communication with them. Water 100 meters thick does not pass a radio signal. To communicate with the center, the submarine had to surface, and at this moment it was discovered by the enemy. The factor of surprise disappeared. Calculations, and then long experiments showed that communication with an underwater object can be kept on ultra-short waves. Why do you need an antenna that's several kilometers long? The solution was as follows. The plane would unwind a cable at high altitude, creating an antenna. Ignatiev received the Lenin Prize for the development of an ultra-secure communication channel. At that time, we were ahead of the Americans in creating missiles, but the means of communication had low characteristics. They are poorly protected from enemy eavesdropping. He was summoned to the top of the Central Committee of the party and given a task. Create the latest high-performance equipment. It took 2 years to develop and build an underground antenna near Moscow, and a whole trainload of graphite. And this antenna is still unique and has no analogues in the world. Here we come to the study, which is associated with the name of Nikola Tesla. Ignatiev idolized him, and with the power of his mighty intellect tried to understand the course of thought of the great Serbian scientist. Ignatiev thought, interestingly arranged our planet Earth. A tiny oasis in a huge galaxy, in which there are huge forces, large temperatures million degrees. In space, interstellar space has a negative temperature -273 degrees Celsius. A fragile island, and how protected? Is it a random creation or did the creator have a hand in it? As a geophysicist, I understood that the core of our planet, rotating within the Earth's interior, creates a magnetic field that protects living beings from the harmful effects of the solar wind. The Earth's rotation in the atmosphere has generated a vast amount of electrical energy. The voltage between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere is 2 gigavolts. Truly, there is an inexhaustible supply of energy. The challenge lies in learning how to extract it from the ionosphere. Tesla was firmly convinced that that the basis of all things is resonance. His high-voltage antenna, built in Wardenclyffe, generated electricity in 100 million volts. To tame the element. But the investors stopped financing the project because they preferred the wired method of transmitting energy over long distances. 7. Here we come to the study, which is associated with the name of Nikola Tesla. Ignatiev idolized him, and with the power of his mighty intellect tried to understand the course of thought of the great Serbian scientist. Ignatiev thought, interestingly arranged our planet Earth. A tiny oasis in a huge galaxy, in which there are huge forces, large temperatures million degrees. In space, interstellar space has a negative temperature -273 degrees Celsius. A fragile island, and how protected? Is it a random creation or did the creator have a hand in it? As a geophysicist, I understood that the core of our planet, rotating within the Earth's interior, creates a magnetic field that protects living beings from the harmful effects of the solar wind. The Earth's rotation in the atmosphere has generated a vast amount of electrical energy. The voltage between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere is 2 gigavolts. Truly, there is an inexhaustible supply of energy. The challenge lies in learning how to extract it from the ionosphere. Tesla was firmly convinced that that the basis of all things is resonance. His high-voltage antenna, built in Wardenclyffe, generated electricity in 100 million volts. And this, according to the scientist, is not the limit. It is possible to obtain 1 billion volts, but when it was working, discharges were obtained such force that the flashes in the night illuminated the entire Atlantic. Tesla realized that he had managed to introduce into resonance and the ionosphere of the Earth. Further operation of the device could have disastrous consequences. We live as if between the windings of the capacitor. Air is a good insulator. Tesla's antenna entered into resonance with the ionosphere. It could break through the insulation. Discharges would burn out the territory of 100 kilometers to the ground. This is one of the reasons why Tesla stopped his experiments at Wardenclyffe. The main reason, of course, is not. The genius would have managed under Krasnoyarsk on the ground in the area fruit and berry station created an antenna similar to the Tesla antenna. Frequency characteristics, however, somewhat different. And received a voltage of 10 million volts. The experiment was not completed. On the command from above, the work was stopped. Ignatiev played many musical instruments, especially loved balalaika. Often arranged improvised evenings at home.
Потихонечку плывет.
Tesla's legacy stirred Ignatiev's imagination. It kept him awake at night. He took on many challenges and solved them. He cut refractory metals, welded copper and aluminum, dried wood, and developed a medical device that is successfully used in a clinic in Krasnoyarsk. The era of perestroika began. Military orders stopped coming in. The economy was in turmoil. Salaries were not being paid, and the staff at the bureau rebelled, accusing their boss of all mortal sins. The conflict in CDB geophysics ended with Ignatiev's dismissal from work. The most terrible thing for him was the accusation of stealing other people's ideas, plagiarism. In court, he defends his name, proves that the priority of the development of the Ponderoland belongs to him. By court decision, he is restored to work. The legal battle took a lot of time and effort. The scientist's health is undermined. In recent years, he taught at the University and Polytechnic Institute. In the academic town, the stand continues its experiments. A group of postgraduate students and undergraduates is working with it. There are no materials, if someone brings anything good. No one gives money. Malevolent people spread rumors that Ignatiev is an adventurer. As a bolt from the blue, came the news of the death of his eldest daughter in a car accident. It was the limit of his human strength, and the scientist had a stroke. A year later, he died. His associates were unable to continue his work. There were jokes about Ignatiev, and all sorts of stories. For example, about how he went to see the minister barefoot. It happened like this: the minister was in the hospital after surgery. Ignatiev was urgently summoned from the training ground to report. He arrived in his army boots, and since they couldn't find any slippers for him, he had to walk barefoot into the hospital room. What could he do? Anything can happen. In general, he was so immersed in his ideas, his work, that sometimes he forgot to look at himself in the mirror. There was such a case. He called the head of the department to his office. And the woman saw dried noodles on Ignatiev's beard. I don't know how to tell him about it, I asked. Gennady Fedorovich, did you eat noodles today? He rubbed his beard and answered. No, yesterday. Doctor of Technical Sciences Viktor Ionin has been involved in many projects during his long academic career, said, the ponderous effect, which Ignatiev took as a basis for the development of the Ponderoland, was described by academician Igor Tam, back in the middle of the last century. The idea itself has been little studied, and humanity will often have to spend a lot of effort and time in order for the device to fly. Let's be optimistic.